we're going to go ahead and very quickly talk about how we can do offline password cracking. So I went ahead and re-exploited my Windows machine here, just using our old favorite, Metasploitable 67. And now I'm going to do a hash dump. Now I've gotten my information. I'm going to do that again just to make my life easier. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to hit Control Shift C. Open my little text editor. Control V. Paste it in there. And then save it. I'm going to save it as hackme.pass.wd.exe. And let me go ahead and exploit my Metasploitable machine. So I'll do a background. And now I'm going to search for VSFTP. And I'll use 1. That was that backdoor that we previously noted in Metasploitable. I look at my options. I need to set my remote host to be 102 now. So I'm going to set gr hosts 192, 168, 56, 102. And I'm going to go ahead and fire this exploit. And as I did before, I'm going to do a cat etc shadow. I'm going to grab all that, Control Shift C, go back to my editor, create a new file, Control V, paste it, and now I'm going to save it. I'll call this one Metasploitable pass.wd.txt. Okay, so now I have my files. Now what? Well, now I want to go ahead and I'll just hit Control C here and get out of this section. And I'm going to go to my menu and go to password attacks. And you'll notice that I have offline attacks, and for offline attacks, it's going to recommend different things, including John, which is also here on the main menu. So if I run John, all it does is it brings up this little help screen, which tells me how to use John the Ripper. So John the Ripper is pretty much a go-to tool for password cracking. It's pretty easy to use. You just give it John, any options, and then password files. So let's start with our Windows file. Now, if we don't want John to be using brute force methods, we're going to have to give it a And we'll notice that there's this option here, dash dash word list equals, and then a file name. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to where these word lists are stored. So I'm going to do a cd user share word lists, do an ls. Now, one thing that's a little bit annoying is that there's this awesome word list. It's called the Rocky list, and it's gzipped by default when you install Kali. So what I'm going to have to do is unzip it. So I'm going to have to do a sudo unzip because I'm in a directory I don't have permissions to write to. Rocku txt gz, enter my password, and now it's going to undo that. I'm going to unzip it. I could say how many passwords are in this list. wc-l rocku txt tells me 14,344,392. So it's an awesome list, especially for offline password cracking. Online password cracking, maybe not so much. But for offline password cracking, it's an awesome list. Alright, so now what? Let me go back to my home directory, cd and hit enter. And now I'm going to run John dash dash word list equal user share word list rocku txt against hackme dash pass wd txt. And you'll notice it says, hey, I detected this is type LM LAN manager. We talked a little bit about this before. We said that's a horrible way to store passwords. And it tried to crack some passwords. It got guessed, which was blank, and it got part of the administrator password. That's why it says :1. It got the first part. It said password. And it's all in uppercase, of course, because that's how that works. Now I can do a show. So I can do a John dash dash show and then give it the file acme, and it shows me it got part of this password, all of this one, all of this one, and all of that one, because all three of these were blank. Great. Now what? Well, I want the actual password, not just half of it. And you'll notice it said use format equals NT. So let me try that again. I'm going to go back to my original command. I'm going to use dash dash format equals NT. And now almost immediately it found that password as password 1. And once again, I can use the show command. And this time I'm going to say show dash dash format equals NT. And it shows me, yep, I got password 1 for the administrator. I got nothing for guest, nothing for Joe. So very easy to use. Alright, what about my Linux passwords? What about my Metasploitable box? Let's have a go with that. So same thing, John dash dash word list equals, there's my Rocky list. And I'm going to give it the Metasploitable password list. I'm going to let it do its thing automatically, and I'm going to see how well this works out. automatically detected the hash type as MD5 crypt. It loaded 7 password hashes with 7 different salts. And so far, it's found 3. Klog was 123456789. Sys had a password of Batman. Service had a password of service. And it is continuing. Now it says press Q or Control C to abort almost any other key for status. I can just press spacebar, and it tells me how far along it's gotten. It's gotten to 7% so far. It's basically telling me it thinks it has about another 9 minutes or so. I press spacebar again. It's telling me a little bit quicker. So it's trying to do its thing, and it might take a little bit of time to continue cracking these passwords. But really, that's all you have to do. Now, as an exercise to you, you can go ahead and you can look at John and look at some of the other options. For example, it might have an option that says, hey, try the login name as the password, or try reversing the login name as the password. And you can also use John to brute force passwords, although it's perhaps not the best of tools for that. If you wanted to do something more like that, and maybe you have some really nice graphics cards that you want to make use of, the tool for that kind of action is Hashcat. Now, Hashcat is not quite as simple as John. It doesn't automatically do a lot of stuff for you. If I run it up here, once again, it's just going to give me help. And it's going to tell me what are all the different kinds of hashes that it will accept. I can use word lists. I can also brute force. And it's going to tell me how that works. So you can see from the examples here, it's not nearly as user-friendly as something like John. But then again, if you have a nice graphics processor, it can use that a little bit better than John would. And you can also try to use things like rainbow tables, which we talked about before. All right, so that was just a quick video on how you can do some offline password cracking. We'll see you